Greetings fellas, welcome to my guide videos again. It's been a while since I did one. Last one was on Blade, which gained a huge success. Thank you for that. And for Sampo this time, now, why I'm making a guide on Sampo, even though he's level 20, is because I already tested him multiple times before making this guide. So the thing is, Sampo is actually excellent at breaking, number one, and he's excellent at applying defense down. That's another part of Sampo where many people don't actually see, and this is where Sampo actually excels in, to my utmost bewilderment, when I tested him out in Memory of Chaos 10 as well as Simulated Universe on his solo runs. So when I did the Sampo Zero Cycle clear on Team 2 for Memory of Chaos 10, I found that he's actually very strong, and he's helping Blade more than I actually imagined. So that's why I was laughing about it in my previous videos. Okay, so Sampo with the resolution shines as full of sweat. Even at superimposition 1, you don't even need effect hit rate on him, because why? He applies defense down 3 times in total from his ultimate on all enemies, as well as 5 times from his skill. So this means that when he applies defense down on a single target or 2 targets on the battlefield, you're almost guaranteed to have a defense down application. So this means that you can just put defense percentage on your relic slots, and Sampo actually likes that since his base defense is not that great compared to other characters. So then again, we have multi-instance hits from his skill and ultimate to apply defense down, and each instance counts as 1 application, or 1 out of 60% base chance from the light cone at S1 to apply a 12% defense down. And defense down is not to be taken lightly, especially where defense is actually the main embodiment of tankiness in the game, and it's not HP but rather defense. Okay, so then again, for the traces, I'm leaving my Sampo at level 20, so that means I won't have anything to upgrade. But if your Sampo gets all the way to level 80 and to even level 60, then you will want to unlock these 2 abilities, as his ultimate regenerates 10 energy, and this means you will be able to apply defense down more stably and also faster. As well as, let's say if Blade clears the Zero Cycle clears really quickly, Sampo is going to be the best Pela instead of Pela, because Pela only applies defense down via ultimate and needs an effect hit rate body to make this work, since her basic attack only hits 1 enemy and her skill only hits 1 enemy. That's it, with no multiple instances of damage. So this means Sampo is actually better in applying defense down compared to Pela with a resolution shines as pearl sweat light cone. Okay, and then we have Trap here, which extends the wind shear caused by talent by 1 turn. This is not really needed, but only needed if you are in a Kafka team. So for pure debuffer wise, which is pure defense down, we are going to need this bonus ability, and this is actually better for him. But since Sampo is Zero Cycle clear most of the time, you don't actually need this bonus ability unless you're spamming skills so often in the first 2 waves, and to get your ultimate ready by the 3rd wave. So that's why this ability is actually good in case you use Sampo's skill much more often than I do, for example. And this technique here is actually really good, since whenever you have a very slow teammate and Sampo uses his technique, which is blind bombs, so he spams 1 blind bomb on the enemy, and this means that the enemies are all delayed. And guess what? This is a 100% fixed chance, not a base chance. So that means enemies will always and guaranteed be delayed by 25%. So this actually helps your slow Bronya and your slow Silver Wolf, if you ever have a slow teammate, to set up their defense down and set their offensive placements faster while not being attacked by the fragmented monsters. You know those Carol Beam monsters, those shiny gold monsters where they shoot an AoE pulse and then shoot a single target beam? Yes, those enemies are very, very fast. So Sampo actually helps you to outspeed them at the very, very first moments of the cycle, especially in MOC 10. And these enemies are found in here, for example, this one, the Imaginary Weaver. So these are the type of enemies where you want Sampo to apply his technique, and Sampo does excellent at it. Excellent job. So that's about the traces. So for the pure debuffer unit for my relic choices, if you're running a level 20 Sampo like I do, then you are going to run Knight of the Purity Palace, and this is the best in slot. 2-piece Knight of Purity, 2-piece HP set, 2-piece Guard of Withering Snow. Depends. It really depends on what you want. However, for higher level Sampos, especially if you stack so much defense on him, you can use the Eagle of Twilight line, and this effectively allows you to apply defense down and wind shears faster, and as well to get your ultimate faster by the next wave. So that is actually very strong relic set for him. And for Sampo, if you're going to use Eagle of Twilight line, make sure you have 4 pieces available so that you can advance forward your actions by 25%. Okay, and then we have the 2 slots here. We have, you can use energy regenerate, for example. You can use defense percentage, but I prefer defense percentage since my Sampo is at level 20. But for higher level Sampos who uses basic attacks more often, it is actually recommended that you use an energy regeneration rate rope so that you can apply defense down more effectively and more consistently. Okay, then for your spear, it will always be defense or attack if you want to maximize on your wind shear damage. However, for me, and personally me, I will be running defense percentage like my previous runs. And for these spears and the 2-piece set, if you're running a high level Sampo, you want to use Space Healing Station to maximize your attack so that your wind shears deal more damage. Or for a pure buffer build like me, which is applying defense down only, then Fleet of the Ageless is actually a better choice since it gives him more HP and allies will also get the attack bonus. For the boots, it will be speed, and for the body, it will be defense. Since effect hit rate is not really needed, especially if you're applying multiple instances of defense down, and from the light cone, you can only apply 1 ensnared status per skill or per ultimate, so each instance from the ultimate and from the skill will provide you defense down, and this means you don't need to run effect hit rate on your body piece. So you can run defense percentage or attack percentage if you're running a high level Sampo. For your substats, prioritize on speed and attack if you are using Nihility Sampo in the Kafka team. That means attack is actually better for his case, but if you are running a pure debuffer build, you don't really need attack, but you can stack defense instead. And for your substars, you can use effect hit rate. That's not a problem at all, since that's actually better to put defense percentage as main start and effect hit rate as a sub start in Sampo's case. And Sampo is a really special one. So then again, very, very good very, very good relic choices here. So for his Eidolons, we have one when using a skill deals damage 1 extra time to a random enemy. And okay, this is actually good if you want to maximize on that, since defense down again is applied via instances of skill. So that means you're getting one instance of skill damage here. So this means more chance to apply defense down. Good. Number one is very good for Sampo. Okay, infectious enthusiasm E2. Defeating an enemy with wind shear has a 100% base chance to inflict all enemies with 1 stat wind shear. This is only good for a Kafka team, but then again, Kafka will be dealing the damage most of the time, and E2 is not really needed. And Kafka's shock damage will definitely surpass Sampo's wind shear most of the time, but this can work in case Sampo needs to finish off wounded enemies. Big money, which is number 3. Skill plus 2 basic attack. Okay, this is not really needed, but this is just for the damage. Number 4, E4. So the deeper the love, the stronger the hit. When skill hits an enemy with 5 or more stacks of wind shear, the enemy immediately takes 8% of current wind shear damage. So this is only good for higher level samples, but for lower level samples like mine, this will not work. So bear that in mind. So for 5, just more damage, that's pretty much it. And for 6, the wind shear damage increases by 15%. Okay, this is good if you have a higher level sample, but then again, not needed for a pure debuffer build. So this means that Sampo would best Eidolon for a defense down build is actually E1, maximum E1, and Sampo does wonders with this build. Okay, for the Memory of Chaos 10 clears and 0 cycle clear, I did a Sampo team like this. So Sampo, Bronya, Blade, and Locha, and he is doing just fine. And for the previous team, we also did Sampo, Bronya, Silverwolf, and Blade here. Yes, this actually works. Since why Blade here is actually good is because Sampo and Blade are wind, Bronya is also wind, and this means that Silverwolf is applying the wind weakness only to the enemies. But say if enemies have no quantum weakness, then Silverwolf might have a chance to apply a quantum weakness. But if the enemy, for example, in this case, we have no wind weakness, then Silverwolf is guaranteed to apply a wind weakness here. So this mono wind team is actually very good. So very, very strong. So that's why I said in my sheet videos where Sampo is actually able to clear with 0 cycles. Yes, that works. That's the main reason why Sampo is actually doing this. And for Sampo, right, the best thing to do is that you want to run a healer in case he gets hit. But if you want to do a 0 cycle clear like me, then you have to rely on luck where the enemy doesn't hit Sampo most of the time. Maybe Sampo can just take 2 or 3 hits and that's it. If he takes more than 3 hits, then he will die for sure. So that's pretty much if you're running a Knight of Purity Palace build like mine with defense all over the place. So that is what I did for my Sampo, and this works. Okay, for other Memory of Chaos teams, for example, like 9, we have Wind Weakness here. This is a perfect place for him to even come in. So Sampo again, and then with Bronya, and then Silverwolf and Blade. Again, this is actually really good, but only if your Blade is strong enough to clear its 0 cycles, then this can actually work. So then again, this is really good. But for a Kafka team, you definitely want to replace Blade because they're pretty much anti-synergetic. But then again, Kafka can be either main DPS or even a pure debuffer again. But Kafka is too premium for that, so that means Sampo will be the best replacement for that. But Sampo can be easily replaced by Kafka if you want a more premium version of a debuffer, of a pure defense down debuffer. And this is not really recommended, but it's just nice to have for the fun and the trolling. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Sampo guide. I hope this guide explains why I was able to clear with 0 cycles. And when I say I was trolling, some people will think that my trolling is for real or clickbait or what, but the thing is, I've already proven it and it's definitely not a clickbait. So thanks for all of that. So cheers.